Joining us now is Susan Rice, the former National Security Advisor for President Obama, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. Her New York Times best-selling book is Tough Love, My Story of the Things Worth Fighting For. Ambassador Rice, thank you very much. First, I want to ask you about this resignation because unlike, John Bolton, for instance, resigning and making a lot of money, or Jim Mattis resigning and not explaining until later exactly why he was resigning, this was direct, it was personal, it names President Trump, it was specific.
Well, I guess, Andrea, I'd say better late than never. To serve an administration which has been racist to its core for the last 3.5 years, from comparing the peaceful protesters at Charlottesville to white supremacists, calling white supremacists very fine people, all the way through to the recent weeks where the administration has disparaged the Black Lives Matter movement, disparaged the peaceful protesters, and basically made plain that they prefer to stand by a Confederate legacy than a modern America. It's been an administration whose record on race is just disgraceful. So while I respect the fact that belatedly this Assistant Secretary, Ms. Taylor, has recognized how unconscionable that is and decided she can no longer serve, what we've seen in recent days is not that different, frankly, than what we've seen over the course of the last 3.5 years.
President Trump attacked President Obama and Joe Biden on police reform on Monday. Let me play a little bit of that for you.
President Obama and Vice President Biden never even tried to fix this during their 8-year period. The reason they didn't try is because they had no idea how to do it.
How do you react to that?
I mean, I shouldn't be laughing because the series of lies, the disgraceful, despicable lies that this president tells seems to know no end. This is just one more in a series of disgraceful lies. The record of the Obama-Biden administration on police and criminal justice reform is very well known. Among the many steps that were taken during the Obama-Biden administration were to limit the transfer of military equipment to police departments, to enforce consent decrees, to launch pattern and practice investigations against police departments that had engaged in a history and a pattern of racism and brutality. And the Trump administration is very well aware of all of those reforms because they came in and systematically undid them from the very beginning of the administration. So to claim that the Obama-Biden administration did nothing is a bald-faced lie. And it's, underscored by the fact that now the president has undone those reforms and is now scrambling in a very superficial, half-hearted, insufficient way to try to get on the right side of this issue.
I did want to ask you about some of the revelations in John Bolton's book, and whatever you think of John Bolton and the way he has handled this, when that President Trump asked President Xi of China to help him win re-election at all costs and to make policy decisions in buying American farm products to help him get re-elected. How does that affect our policy and China's leverage over the United States?
Andrea, these revelations are extraordinary. What they reveal is that from prior to becoming president of the United States, Trump has been willing and eager to solicit the support of foreign governments, including foreign adversaries, starting with Russia, later with an ally, Ukraine, and now another adversary, China, to interfere in our elections on his behalf. There's no more gross abuse of power than what we have seen the president do in plain daylight. What's interesting about the Bolton revelations is that he's validating from behind closed doors as a lifelong conservative what we have now ourselves seen in the public. Because recall that President Trump stood on the south lawn of the White House in October of last year and called on Beijing to provide him alleged dirt on Joe Biden. So from Russia, if you have Hillary's emails to today, This has been Donald Trump's MO. He puts his personal political interest above our national security and our national interest. If there were ever a gross abuse of power, this is it. And it is laid bare for the voters to see. He is willing to sacrifice our sovereignty and our democracy for his own political advantage.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.